Imagine this. You're seeing a guy and everything seems to be going well. He enjoys your company, he's affectionate, he texts back. But something feels off. One day he's fully present, making plans, showing interest. The next he seems distant, caught in his own thoughts, as if there's an invisible barrier between you. You start to wonder, is he really into me? Or is he second-guessing everything? What if I told you that the way a man processes emotions is vastly different from how women do? That his hesitation, his inconsistency, and even his silence might not mean what you think they do? Stay with me, because in this video, we're going to break down the unmistakable signs that he's overthinking his feelings for you, and, more importantly, how you should respond if you recognize them. And the last sign I'll reveal is the most crucial of all. It can determine whether he pulls away completely or realizes he can't live without you. So stay until the end, because what you're about to learn might change the way you see relationships forever. Before we begin, take a moment to support this channel. Subscribe to Female Red Pill, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever noticed a guy acting hot and cold? Let me know your experience and let's dive into the psychology behind his hesitation. Men are not wired to process emotions the way women do. While women express and discuss feelings to gain clarity, men tend to withdraw into their minds. The modern dating world constantly tells men they must have everything figured out, finances, status, emotional control, before fully committing to a relationship. This internal pressure can cause them to overanalyze their emotions, leading to hesitation. One of the first signs that a man is overthinking his feelings for you is his inconsistency. One day, he's charming, engaged, and affectionate. The next, he's quiet, lost in thought, as if he's mentally somewhere else. It's not because he doesn't like you, it's because he's analyzing everything. Is this the right relationship? Am I ready for this? Do I feel as strongly as I should? These thoughts create a cycle of closeness followed by withdrawal. This behavior aligns with what Rollo Tomassi discusses in The Rational Male. In Chapter 12, he explains how men operate on a logical, problem-solving framework. When emotions enter the equation, they don't always know how to categorize them. This can lead to what appears to be emotional distance, but in reality, it's just internal processing. Another key indicator is hesitation in making future plans. If he enjoys spending time with you but avoids locking in anything beyond the next date, it could mean he's evaluating where things are headed. Men who are certain about their feelings don't hesitate to integrate a woman into their long-term vision. But when a man is caught in his own head, he's asking himself, do I want this? Is this what's best for me? This uncertainty makes him hesitate. This is why so many women mistakenly assume a man is losing interest when, in reality, he's stuck in analysis paralysis. He's not necessarily thinking, I don't like her anymore. He's thinking, what does this relationship mean for my future? And when a man can't find a clear answer, his default reaction is often to create space. But here's where most women make a critical mistake. They chase, seek reassurance, or demand clarity before he's had time to process. This only adds pressure, making him withdraw further. Instead, the key is to do the opposite. Lean back, maintain your value, and let him come to his own realization. Because a man who is truly interested will not stay in a state of confusion forever. And if you think this explains his behavior so far, wait until you hear the next signs. The deeper we go, the more we uncover how his mind is processing emotions in ways that most women never realize. Another undeniable sign that he's overthinking his feelings for you is his unpredictability when it comes to communication. One moment, he's eager to talk, initiating conversations, responding quickly. The next, he slows down, takes longer to reply, or even seems emotionally distant. You might assume he's losing interest, but in reality, he's in his head, trying to make sense of his emotions. This behavior stems from the male tendency to compartmentalize. As Robert Glover explains in No More Mr. Nice Guy, men often separate their emotions from their actions, especially when they feel conflicted. Unlike women, who often seek emotional expression as a way to process, men tend to internalize. If he's unsure about his feelings for you, his mind starts running through scenarios. Will this relationship limit my freedom? Do I feel as strongly as I should? Is this attraction or something deeper? This internal debate creates inconsistency. It's not that he's playing games, he's just not certain how he feels. When he's feeling emotionally connected, he engages. When doubts creep in, He retreats into himself, seeking clarity. The mistake many women make here is trying to force a conversation. They ask, "What's wrong? Did I do something? Are you losing interest?" But the truth is, he may not even have an answer yet. This brings us to another major sign. He avoids defining the relationship. A man who is certain about his emotions has no hesitation in making things official. But a man who is overthinking will hesitate, not because he doesn't care, but because he's still in the evaluation stage. Here's where most women misinterpret his actions. They assume hesitation means disinterest when in reality, it often means he's trying to make the right decision. As Rich Cooper explains in the Unplugged Alpha, men are constantly assessing risk versus reward in relationships. If he's not immediately locking things down, it's likely because he's weighing his options, not necessarily other women, but his own future, his goals, and whether this relationship aligns with them. And this is where many women push too hard. They pressure him for answers, ultimatums, or emotional validation, without realizing that this only adds stress to his decision-making process. When a man is still thinking things through, the best response is patience and self-focus. Instead of waiting for his clarity, you shift your energy back onto yourself, your own life, your own happiness. Ironically, this is what often makes a man realize he doesn't want to lose you. Another clue that he's overthinking? He brings up past relationships more than usual. This might seem subtle, but if he frequently references an ex, either positively or negatively, it's a sign he's still processing his own emotional landscape. It doesn't necessarily mean he wants his ex back, but it does mean he's comparing, analyzing, and measuring his current feelings against his past. In The Way of the Superior Man, David Deida discusses how men often revisit past experiences as a way to understand their present emotions. If he's mentioning an ex, it could be because he's subconsciously using that relationship as a frame of reference. Is this new connection deeper? Is it different? Is it just a repeat of past mistakes? These are questions he's wrestling with internally. At this point, you might be wondering, if he's overthinking, what should I do? The answer is simple. Give him space to process without pressuring him. A man who truly values you will reach his own conclusion. But if he's permanently stuck in indecision, that tells you everything you need to know. And if you think these signs have been revealing so far, just wait until the next part. The final signs are the most powerful yet, and they will determine whether he steps up or steps away. One of the strongest signs that he's overthinking his feelings for you is when he starts creating unnecessary emotional distance. You'll notice that even when you're together, there's an invisible wall between you. It's not that he's outright cold, but he's holding something back. The laughter, the chemistry, it's all still there, but there's a hesitation in his actions, as if he's stopping himself from fully diving in. This happens because he's afraid of making the wrong choice. In The Rational Male, Rollo Tomassi explains that men, especially those with a strong sense of independence, often hesitate before fully committing because they fear losing control over their own lives. To a man, commitment means risk. Risk of emotional vulnerability, risk of making the wrong choice, risk of losing options. So instead of diving in, he overanalyzes, which creates a sense of emotional inconsistency. This is why one moment, he might be incredibly affectionate, but the next he pulls back. It's not a reflection of his level of interest, but rather of his internal uncertainty. He doesn't want to lead you on, but he also doesn't want to lose you, so he's stuck in a loop of hesitation. Another key indicator is how he reacts when you bring up the future. If even casual discussions about future plans, whether it's a trip, an event, or even something as small as dinner next week, make him uneasy, it's because his mind is racing. He's analyzing what committing to those plans means. To women, making plans is natural. But to a man who is overthinking, every commitment feels like a step toward something bigger, and if he's unsure, he hesitates. This ties directly into what Rich Cooper discusses in the Unplugged Alpha. Men don't make emotional decisions the same way women do. Instead of focusing on how they feel in the moment, they think in terms of long-term consequences. So if he seems distant when you discuss the future, it's not always because he doesn't see one with you. It's because he's still trying to decide whether he's ready to embrace it. But here's where most women sabotage themselves. Instead of letting him work through his thoughts, they panic. They start over-explaining, asking too many questions, or even worse, trying to fix his hesitation. This creates more pressure, which pushes him further into analysis paralysis. The best response? Shift your focus back onto yourself. The moment a man senses that you are not waiting for him to decide, but instead continuing to live your life with or without him, his perspective changes. When he realizes that you are the one he could lose, that's when clarity hits him. But here's the harsh truth. Some men will stay in this state of hesitation indefinitely. And this brings us to the most critical sign of all, the one that determines whether he will step up or fade away. This is the most important part, and if you've made it this far, you must hear this final piece. Because understanding this last sign will change the way you approach relationships forever. The most crucial sign that he's overthinking his feelings for you, the one that determines whether he will fully commit or pull away, is his inability to make a definitive decision about the relationship. A man who is certain about his emotions does not stay in limbo. He may take time to process, but eventually he reaches a conclusion. However, if he remains stuck in analysis, always questioning, always hesitating, it means one of two things. Either he is not emotionally mature enough to handle a relationship, or deep down he knows you are not the one, but he's afraid to admit it to himself. This is the hardest truth for most women to accept. They want to believe that if they just wait a little longer, if they just prove their value a little more, he will finally see their worth and commit. But waiting for a man to overcome his doubts is one of the biggest mistakes a woman can make. As Rollo Tomassi explains in The Rational Male, women often fall into the trap of believing that if they are good enough, a man will choose them. But men don't commit based on logic alone. They commit when they feel an undeniable emotional certainty. This is why men who are truly in love don't hesitate. When a man is sure, he moves forward. He doesn't question. He doesn't need more time. He chooses. But if he remains caught in his own mind, debating, doubting, and delaying, that is your answer. The uncertainty is the answer. So what should you do if you recognize these signs? The solution is not to convince him. It's not to wait for him to be ready. The solution is to respect yourself enough to walk away if he doesn't step up. This is not about playing games. It's about understanding your own value. A high-value woman does not wait for a man to make up his mind. She sets her standard and allows him to meet it, or not. And here's what happens when you do this. The moment you remove yourself from the equation, the moment he realizes you are no longer an option, that is when he will feel the full weight of his decision. If he truly values you, he will break free from his hesitation and step up. But if he lets you go without a fight, then you have your answer. He was never going to choose you fully. This is the reality most women don't want to face. But it is the truth that will set you free. When a man is overthinking his feelings, you don't convince him. You don't chase him. You simply live your life in a way that forces him to either step up or step aside. If this video opened your eyes, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been in a situation where a man was stuck in his head, unsure about you? How did you handle it? And before you go, make sure to subscribe to Female Red Pill, like this video, and check out the 2 recommendations on your screen right now. One of them will help you understand male psychology even deeper, and the other will reveal the biggest mistakes women make when dealing with uncertain men. Don't miss them.